You have brushed your teeth roughly 30,000 times. You have had over 75,000 meals. You have spent more than 25 years of your life asleep, dreaming 1,000 different dreams. And you remember almost none of it. Most of your life is gone. Not just your early childhood, but last Tuesday. The name of your third-grade teacher. The plot of the movie you watched a month ago. The vast majority of the days you have lived have been completely erased from your mind. Most people think of memory as a library, a giant archive where every experience is stored on a shelf. And when you forget something, it's because the book got lost or the ink faded over time. It's a passive process. Things just decay. Sounds simple, right? But that's not what's happening. Your brain isn't a passive archive. It's an active editor. And it isn't just letting your memories fade. It's deliberately destroying them. In the late 1880s, a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus ran one of the loneliest experiments in the history of science. For years, he sat alone in a room, memorizing thousands of nonsense syllables, things like wid and zoff. He would test himself over and over, meticulously recording how long it took for him to forget. And from this mountain of data, he discovered something that's now taught in every introductory psychology class on Earth. He called it the forgetting curve. It shows that you lose about 50% of new information within an hour, and over 90% within a week. It's brutal. It's efficient. And for a century, we thought it was just the natural speed of decay. But then, we started looking closer at the biology. And we found something that doesn't fit the decay model at all. Forgetting isn't just about losing things. It's an active process. Your brain works just as hard to get rid of information as it does to store it. One way it does this is called retroactive interference. When you learn something new, like a new phone number, your brain has to actively suppress the memory of your old number to avoid confusion. It pushes the old information aside to make room for the new. Every new memory you form fights a little war with the memories that came before it. This is why you can't remember what you had for lunch last Wednesday. It's not that the memory faded. It's that the memories of lunch on Thursday, Friday, and this morning have actively overwritten it. And honestly, this next part is where it gets truly strange. Because it's not just new memories that destroy old ones. The very act of remembering can destroy a memory. Think about that for a second. Accessing a memory should make it stronger. But it doesn't. Not at first. In the year 2000, neuroscientist Karim Nader at New York University conducted a landmark experiment with rats. He taught them to associate a specific sound with a small electric shock. They learned fast. Every time they heard the sound, they'd freeze in fear. The memory was locked in. But then Nader did something different. He'd play the sound, forcing the rats to recall the memory, and right at that moment, he injected them with a drug that blocked protein synthesis in their brains. Now, protein synthesis is essential for storing long-term memories. And what he found was shocking. The rats completely forgot the association. The sound no longer scared them. The memory was gone. He found that every single time a memory is recalled, it doesn't just get played back like a movie. It becomes unstable. It's unlocked, and for a short window it can be changed or even erased completely. The act of remembering makes a memory fragile enough to be destroyed. So why would your brain have a system like this? A system where the very process of remembering risks annihilation? Why build a library where reading a book makes the ink disappear? But here's where it gets complicated. Because mainstream neuroscience actually has a pretty good answer for this. And honestly, it might be even more interesting than a simple design flaw. In 2017, neuroscientists Blake Richards and Paul Franklin at the University of Toronto published a paper that reframed the entire question. They argued that the goal of your memory isn't to be a perfect archive. The goal is to make you smart. To do that, your brain needs to do two things. It needs to hold on to important information, and it needs to throw away everything else. Think about it. You don't need to remember every single dog you've ever seen in your life. That's useless data. What you need is a generalized concept of dog. A flexible model that lets you recognize a dog you've never seen before. To create that model, your brain has to forget the specifics, the exact color of one dog's fur, the precise angle of another's tail. It needs to let go of the noisy details to see the underlying pattern. Richards and Franklin called this intelligent forgetting. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Your brain is constantly pruning away old, irrelevant memories to make it easier to navigate the world. It's like a sculptor chipping away stone. The forgetting is what reveals the art. This process is called synaptic pruning, and it happens on a massive scale. When you're born, your brain has more connections between neurons than it will ever have again. Then, throughout childhood and adolescence, it goes through a massive cleanup. It systematically eliminates the connections you don't use. It's a ruthless efficiency program. A brain that remembers everything would be crippled, lost in an endless sea of trivial detail, unable to see the patterns that matter. Forgetting is the price of intelligence. It's not a failure of memory. It's what makes memory useful. So that settles it, right? Your brain is actively and intelligently deleting most of your life to make you smarter. Well, not quite, because that assumes the memories are actually gone. What if they aren't? What if they're just hidden, locked away in a part of the archive you can no longer access? In the 1950s, a neurosurgeon named Wilder Penfield at the Montreal Neurological Institute was operating on patients with severe epilepsy. To find the source of the seizures, he had to keep them awake during surgery, and he would use a tiny electrode to gently stimulate different parts of their brain. What happened next changed neuroscience forever. When his probe touched a specific part of their temporal lobe, they would suddenly, vividly relive a memory they thought was gone forever. Not just the idea of it, but the full sensory experience. One woman heard a song from her childhood so clearly she thought there was a record player in the operating room. Another man was suddenly back in his hometown in South Africa, hearing the voices of his cousins, smelling the air. These weren't memories he was trying to access. They were forced out by the electricity. They were complete, detailed, and had been lying dormant for decades. This suggests something profound. That maybe the memories aren't destroyed at all. Maybe your brain doesn't delete the files. It just deletes the shortcut on the desktop. The data is still there on the hard drive, but the pathways to get to it have been severed. Most of your life isn't a library with missing books. It's a library where all the books are still on the shelves, but the card catalog has been burned. We still don't know for sure which it is. Whether forgetting is deletion or just a loss of access. It's probably a mix of both. Some memories are likely overwritten and destroyed forever. Others are just buried so deep that they can't be found without an electric probe to the brain. But the fact that they could be there at all changes everything. It means the person you were 10 years ago isn't entirely gone. He's just silent. The experiences that shaped you, the conversations you had, the rooms you sat in, the feelings you felt, they might still be in there, encoded in the connections between a few thousand neurons in the dark folds of your cortex. You have lived thousands of lives already. The you of yesterday. The you of last year. The you of a decade ago. Each one built on the memories of the last, and each one forgotten to make room for the next. We are designed to forget. We need to forget to learn, to adapt, to forgive, to move on. If you remembered every mistake you ever made, every awkward word you ever said, every moment of pain you ever felt, you couldn't function. You'd be frozen. Forgetting isn't a glitch in the system. It's the system itself working perfectly. It's the quiet, constant process of letting go of the person you were, so you can become the person you're going to be.